Hi, my name is Jeff Sturgis. I'm from Whitetail Habitat Solutions, and I'm a whitetail strategy expert. And I've said in a couple other videos what that means is I love to hunt whitetails, and I've been doing it for a long time, and that's what I do for a living full time. Is whether it's helping clients, books, web classes, or doing things like this, I love working with HuntWise. That brings me to my favorite time of the year to hunt. It's the pre-rut. The pre-rut is an incredible time of the year to hunt, and this is where a lot of my strategy comes in. People don't realize, but during the pre-rut, I've killed probably about 50% of my bucks during this time frame. And that's significant because a lot of people are taking their vacation time during the peak rut. If you have a week off, you're taking it in early November. So I'm looking at that the pre-rut is an exceptional time to hunt, but it's not the typical time that people think. We're gonna talk about what the pre-rut is and how you should be hunting it on your land or your public land hotspot where you like to hunt. I think there's a huge misconception out there that you have to hunt during the peak rut, and if you don't, you're missing out and you have to wait another year if you don't get your buck. When you're noticing the pre-rut and when it begins in under Rutcast, we offer the timing for that window. It's historical and experience data driven. There's a lot of information and strategy that goes into those dates. You need to figure that out. Rutcast can help you in the HuntCast. If you have core bucks in your area, what I mean by that are bucks that are around your land all the time through the end of October, certain bucks, then you're going to see a lot of rutting sign at that time. And if you don't, you're going to see that lag time until the peak rut, and you're not going to see as many bucks overall if you don't have that property that's attracting bucks during October. I call those core and not core bucks. You might refer to that later. But that's why someone might see the rut begin in one location and not in the other. So really, there's a big misconception. The pre-rut is an exceptional time to shoot a mature buck, that oldest buck in the neighborhood, and you don't even make it to the peak rut. And it's not to say I don't want to hunt during that time, it's just to say there's a lot of opportunity. In half of all the years that I've hunted, I take advantage of that opportunity. Now, when it comes to exactly when the pre-rut begins, of course, again, you can refer to Rutcast for the timing of that, but I'm seeing a lot change in the woods at that time. You know, one of the things I notice is we hunt a lot of water holes, and at the same time, they'll hit those same afternoon water holes during the morning. They're cruising. So all of a sudden on your trail cameras, you pick up bucks hitting those water holes at 10 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So they're hitting it. It's exciting. I love that time of the year because you know that the pre-rut's begun because those bucks are becoming very active, and that's why they hit that water at a time they typically don't the rest of the year. They're starting to put on some miles. They're starting to make rubs and scrapes. We'll see that around in these parts about October 18th, 20th, 22nd, 24th, right around there. So we'll see that. Another factor of that is you'll also see major weather fronts during that time spurning and really pushing pre-rut activity and rutting activity in general. However, when you see that temperature drop, and it's all relative, it could be it drops from an average high of 90 down to 68. That's a huge weather drop. We're not talking about a bottom line number like 40 degrees or 50 degrees is when they start moving. It's temperature change and the amount of weather change it takes to push them on their feet. So if you see hot days on the 18th, 19th, but cool days on the 20th of October, 22nd, that's when you have that opportunity for pre-rut to begin. You know what's cool is they'll hit those water holes. You'll see that they're actually hitting those water holes when it's colder out because they've been moving. So the movement is what creates the need for thirst and really to go after that water. You'll see lots of rubs and scrapes popping up in the woods, especially if you have older bucks. That's another indication. And certainly rely on Rutcast to give you your starting dates to those. But that's that time when the bucks are ready, especially those older bucks. That's why they're laying down a lot of sign. Older bucks lay down a lot more sign than younger bucks. But also, those older bucks are ready to go and they lay down a lot of sign, and you'll notice those rubs and scrapes popping up in the woods. So those are all some really good indications that the pre-rut's beginning. Does aren't necessarily ready, but big bucks are, and they're going to move quite a bit to get to those locations, and those are all telltale signs that the pre-rut is beginning. You know, I talk about in the early season, in the October lull, I'm really focusing heavily on evening hunts, evening feeding fronts where deer are moving to feeding sources predictably, and it sets up an opportunity for not to necessarily overhunt and pressure that food source, but to hunt deer on the way there from their bedding areas to their afternoon feeding areas. So it creates a really good opportunity in those locations. I don't hunt my rut stands. I don't hunt my morning bedding area stands because when you go back there during the early season October lull, Most of those mature bucks are already back there in the bedding areas. You just spook them out, and it's not a great way to hunt, especially when they're hitting more reliable afternoon food source movements. You can take advantage of that. During the pre-rut, there's a giant shift in my own personal hunting strategy to hunting those morning stands that are relating to rut movement, whether it's between bedding areas, outside of bedding areas. I'm also always hunting that downwind edge, but I'll go well away from those food sources, well around those food sources to get into location to a bedding area, allow those bucks to come back to me, and that's when I flip to hunting morning stands and placing a huge priority on the morning. What you'll find is those bucks are moving during the cool of the day. This is not at all the time for all day sits, because bucks will move 3 times longer in the morning hours. They'll move into 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but then they need to take a break. You know, they're starting to exert themselves heavily for the first time for the year, and they take a break, and then they do move pretty predictably in the afternoon, evening hours, but only for that last hour of light, 45 minutes, hour and a half. This isn't something where they're cruising for all day, or certainly 4-hour afternoon jaunts in the afternoon. They've made it to their bedding areas. They've been cruising back and forth, making rubs and scrapes, chasing some does, fighting off some younger bucks. They take a nap in the afternoon, they lay around, and then they go straight to that afternoon food source. A lot of times I'm hunting 2 different stand locations. I'm hunting a morning bedding area stand and an afternoon evening stand. It's very important that you learn to differentiate the two. Morning movement and morning stand locations should be near bedding areas, and you should have defined bedding. And then afternoon food source movement will give you evening stand locations, and they're not one and the same. So you don't hunt the same stand all day, let alone for morning or evening in most of those locations, whether you're on private or public land. The morning hours offers great opportunity. There's a lot of times, let's say it's going to be a high of 62 wherever you live during that day, during that pre-rut time, and the morning hours were 37, 41, 42. Well, it's still very cool by the time it gets to noon. It's not heating up till 2, 3 in the afternoon. It stabilizes and then drops only the last hour, 45 minutes of daylight. You get a lot of cruising opportunity when the weather is cooler. So those bucks are on the move during those cool weather mornings, and it gives you the opportunity to sit on stand longer and enjoy great movement all morning long. I'd say that 70% of my bucks are shot during the morning, whether it's the pre-rut or the peak rut, because bucks move a lot longer during that time period. So that's when I really focus to those morning stand locations. A lot of those I've let them heat up. I haven't touched them, I haven't disturbed them, I haven't pressured them. And it's a great time to sneak in and have a great hunt during the pre-rut, switching to those morning stands that you haven't hunted. What I'm really focusing on, of course, when the pre-rut begins, it's not that the weather is telling deer you need to start rutting. The weather is creating comfortable conditions for rutting activity and an overall exertion to take place. That's why even during the peak rut, post-rut, all phases of the rut, if it's hot, windy, bad conditions during the day, bucks are still going to rut. Does are still going to be bred, but it's happen under the cover of darkness. That's why some of the best years of hunting are when the weather is the most volatile. So starting from those pre-rut dates, I'm looking for that roller coaster weather ride. I never want to hunt a 9-day window, a 7-day window, because there's over half those days that aren't that great to hunt. There's 2 or 3 of those days that are exceptional. There's probably a couple days where you shouldn't even go out in the woods just because you're applying pressure to whether it's a public land stand or stands on small properties on private land. So it's really important that you're looking at those weather opportunities. And from that time on, the pre-rut, I'm hunting the weather all year long. You know, I'm looking at if I can only hunt weekends and I can get 3-day weekends, I'm trying to slant the best day. If it's Monday, I'm hunting Monday instead of Friday. Maybe the bad weather day on Saturday, Friday. Saturday, I'm taking the family to a corn maze or going to an apple cider mill or whatever you might do, spend some time with friends. And then you're really hitting it hard when the weather is good, so you're not burning out your stands and your land. Time in the stand does not equal a higher level of success. Instead, time hunting quality opportunities will maximize and allow you to take advantage consistently of hunting the best bucks in the neighborhood over a long period of time. Think of the long game. So really, when it comes to it, you can rely on HuntCast to give you that opportunity to look ahead and say, I know when these dates are going to be. I talk to my supervisor, my boss, my spouse. I can make this happen. I can get in. I can enjoy this hunt and enjoy this time. And you'll find that 1 or 2 great weather days during a week and maximizing your time during that time and hunting that roller coaster of great weather opportunities, it's much, much more successful and offers a higher level of potential success than hunting 9 days in a row and not really looking at those and placing a priority on those great days. Those one great day is worth many, many bad days. Finally, stand locations. Again, I'm hunting bedding areas. I'm making sure that I'm focusing on those morning, placing a priority of those. I'm going around food sources to get into those stands. I'm hunting on the downwind side of the bedding areas. I'm making sure that I'm hunting new stands, fresh stands. I'm hunting really good sign, rutting sign. I might go into one stand, I'm not seeing that sign, so I'm planning on hunting another one the next time. I'm skipping around, I'm hunting fresh stands. Oftentimes fresh stands are the best stands. So, and then I'm still taking advantage of those evening movements, but I'm hunting 2 separate stands. During the day, I'm getting in for some lunch, maybe a nap. So you look at it, the pre-rut offers exceptional opportunity. You can't miss out. There's a lot of misconceptions about hunting just the peak rut, but boy, what I find, there's a lot of good, consistent whitetail hunters that are big buck slayers, and they're not missing the pre-rut, and they're putting a buck down in the ground before November even begins. There's opportunity to be had during that pre-rut. I don't want you to miss it. And boy, I can't wait to talk to you about the peak rut. That's where stories are made from great hunting. But boy, if you follow these pre-rut points right here and you learn to master those each season, a lot of times you won't even make it to hunt the peak rut. I really hope that you can take advantage of these strategies and apply it to a great and successful hunt this fall. That's why we make these. For more information, you can check out my Instagram at Whitetail Habitat Solutions. I also have my YouTube channel, Whitetail Habitat Solutions, Facebook, and also my website, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. On my website, I have over 600 whitetail strategy articles and around 800 YouTube videos. So there's a lot of content for you to digest, and I hope you can continue to learn and continue to apply these strategies to a successful hunt each and every fall.